Shalom, everyone. I pray that everyone is doing good to whomever sees this video. I am back to do to have a conversation or to talk about my life as a child and the abuse that I endured in the church. I did a video on last week, a very short video, just talking about the different experiences that I had as a child growing up in the church. You know, the church is supposed to be the safest place that you could be in, but it's not. So I feel compelled to do another video and go just a little bit deeper in what I had talked about before. So the last time I talked about the abuse from Leon Parker from Zion Apostolic Temple. That was the church that I grew up in. And just talked about how people in the church just turned a blind eye to the abuse that was always, and I mean always, inflicted on me. The title of this video, I wanted to give it something specific. So basically, it's called I Was His Punching Bag. And the person that I will be talking about is Leon Parker. With inclusions with Charlotte and Christian, Krishanda, and Cherie. Like I said in the last video, as long as I can remember, the abuse never stopped. And at one point, I shared with one of my brothers that it felt as if I came out the womb being beat. That's just how frequent it was. My life at Zion Apostolic Temple was hell on earth. Leon is the type of man that has no control, that is very irate, very loud. In the last video, I expressed how he just barked. He just barked. He just yelled. He just yelled. He just barked all of the time. And within that barking, to me, every time it was to me, it was barking, then hands-on. Like I said before, anyone that felt that Emma did something, or Emma rolled her eyes, or Emma got smart, or Emma just on my nerves, you know, they would run and tell Leon, because they knew Leon would put his hands on me. So yes, I was his punching bag all of the time. I remember when I was at home, it was me and my siblings. We were at home, and my mom ended up going to the church cult building for, I think, Wednesday night Bible class. And we were at home, so we were happy because our life consisted of going to church all the time. Yeah, so we were happy this time around. So long story short, my mom ended up coming home, and she came in and she had this look on her face as if she had been crying. And she went to the room, and I remember her saying, "Come here, Emma." And so when my mom called my name, the sound that came with that was never good. So we're all looking like, what's going on? So I go into the room and she says, find me a belt. So again, I'm like, what did I do? She didn't say anything. She just said, find me a belt and pull your pants down and lay on the side of this bed. Well, long story short, I don't have to, drag it out. She whooped me. I didn't know why but she whooped me. And later on, I found out that someone had told Leon that I had gotten smart with them. And so Leon made my mom stand before the congregation. He rebuked her in front of the congregation and made her apologize on my behalf and told her to come home and whoop me. I have no idea to this day who did that, who said it, nothing. But I was lied on. And I believe that if I was there that night, he would have done that very same thing to me and beaten me in front of the church. I don't understand how anyone could allow the physical abuse to take place on a child in their presence, and it doesn't dawn on anyone to step in and say, hey, this is a child, why are you beating on her? When I tell you that was my life at Zion, that was my life. Leon is not a good person. There is no good thing that dwells within him. To inflict constant physical abuse on a child, a little girl at that, it's almost like he got satisfaction out of doing that. I remember being in service one morning, Sunday morning, and I was asleep on the pew. And I remember waking up, and so behind me, my sister was standing up. And so, when you're just waking up, you're not really woke just yet. And so I remember looking back and looking at her, and I smiled at her. Well, she didn't like the smile. I don't really know why she made a gesture as if I was bothering her, but I didn't really think about it. I just smiled and just put my head back down to wipe my eye. And then all of a sudden I felt this jerk on my arm, like a jerk, like how you wring out clothes. I felt this jerk, and before I knew it, I was being thrown from the third pew to the front pew. He literally stopped preaching and walked down from the pulpit and yanked me from that pew and threw me to the front pew. Let's sit in that for a second. Let's sit in that. Who in their right mind would allow that to happen to their child. Who in their right mind would allow that to happen to any child in your presence? It was like a constant thing for him to just beat on me, slap me. Every time I was at church as a little girl, this was a constant thing. This was a constant thing. And no one ever intervened. No one ever said, "Hey man, you can't be doing that. Hey man, that's a little girl." No one ever said anything to him. My mom never stood up or defended me throughout any of that. And when you look at Leon, he's a short little man that is probably by now shriveling up. But if you know him by his bark, you would just see, oh, he's just all bark, no bite. He's just loud. So his loudness intimidates people. His loudness just makes people feel, it makes them tuck their tail. And I never understood why is he always hitting on me? If it's not physical abuse, it's verbal abuse. I remember one Sunday afternoon. We got to be back at church at 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock. We get there at 8:30 in the morning. Don't get out till about 2:30, 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30, 4. And we got to be back at 5. That's crazy. But anyway, I remember going into the little cafeteria area just to grab some water, because I'm always thirsty, right? Grabbing some water. And when I went in, you had Charlotte, Krishanda, and Cherie. I think Christian was in the corner somewhere. I don't know. So I'm getting some water, minding my business. Well, I already knew when I walked around the corner, like, ugh. So I'm already scared because it's always something. But I'm getting my water and I'm getting ready to go. So as I'm getting my water, Charlotte says, "I heard what you said to my daughter." So again, I don't even know what you're talking about. I heard what you told her. So by this time, I'm like, she proceeds to say, "You said my daughter's dress was too big. You just jealous. You just jealous that you ain't got no clothes like this. You just jealous you can't afford this. You'll never have nothing. You'll never be nothing." So I didn't know what to do. My feelings were immediately crushed, as they should. And I start crying and I run out. And the first place I run to was Leon's office. Why I did that, I don't know. And I said, I don't even know if I called her Sister Parker. I don't even know what I said. But I said, she just said some mean things to me. And I don't even know why she did. Leon says, well, what do you say about them? What do you say? So in my little mind, I'm like, and all I could do was cry. All I could do was cry. All I ever did was cry. All I ever did was cry. All I ever did was cry growing up at Zion, being at Zion. All I ever did was cry. No one, and when I say no one, I mean no one. If there is someone, it would be my grandmother, but what could she do? But no one, and I mean no one, loved or protected me as a little girl. No one. If it wasn't physical, it was verbal. What child deserves to be abused? What child deserves to be tormented on a regular basis? At church, the safest place to be. It was like non-stop. It's like when I would enter the building, just off the mere fact that my presence irks or bothers somebody or vexes somebody, it was warranted to be slapped or jerked around or yelled at or thrown around. It was like, because I don't like you, this is what I'm going to do to you. No one's going to stop me. Your mama's not going to say nothing to me. You better not say nothing to my girls. That's the attitude Charlotte had. And we going to treat you any kind of way. And you still going to come to church and you still going to. And I was watching a video. I don't remember this baby's name, but she ended up killing herself. This was last year, 2024. She ended up killing herself because of all of the manipulation and the torment and the fakeness of the saints, the untruth, the lack of truth, that nobody kept it real with this baby. They let things happen. They knew that things was happening with her and the bishop's wife. But everybody kept the closed mouth simply because her words, and I agree with this, as long as it's not my child, it doesn't have anything to do with me. And that's how everybody acted. As long as it's not my child that's getting beat, as long as it's not my daughter that's getting thrown around, as long as it's not my son being slapped in the mouth, as long as it's not mine, it has nothing to do with me. Everybody in there was a willing participant simply because they did nothing. Everybody was a willing participant because they did nothing. And I'm talking about from the rooter to the tutor, my mama on down. Who would allow their child to always, constantly be beat up by a man? I was his punching bag. I was his punching bag. And he took joy and pleasure in taking his big grown man hands and slapping my little face. And other people took joy in it too. They loved watching him slap on me. They loved that. They loved that. There is a problem within these churches. It is a huge problem within these churches with saints, ain'ts, protecting these preachers, constantly having their backs. And this is nasty. This is nasty. This is nasty. It is so much that is being done behind the scenes, more so now than in front of everyone, that people are afraid to talk about, because they put it in your mind that if you speak against the man of God, you're doomed for hell, or you can't talk about him, or you can't, he's just right because he stands in that pulpit. No, he's not right. He's not right. These pastors are not right. Leon is not right. Charlotte is not right. They caused so much hell in my life. It tormented me, like I said the last time. It tormented me. It broke me. It broke Emma down. Being embarrassed over the pulpit, being put on Front Street, having your business put over the pulpit. Leon has a mouth like a female. I remember when little boys came to the church, it always turned out to be, not on my behalf, but it always turned out to be a competition between Emma and Christian. Who can get the boy? Well, that was not my thing, and people put it out. They made it out to be that I was just like this fast tail girl. I wasn't. I was just cool, and the boys gravitated to the coolness. That's all there was. But I remember there was this little boy. This little boy who took to me. He took to Emma. Long story short, Leon gets on the pulpit, and here we go. The little boy called my daughter first. He called my daughter first. He called my house first. This man the hate that they had in their heart, that they have in their heart for Emma. Emma couldn't catch a break. Little Emma could not catch a break. Emma could not catch a break. Emma could not catch a break. My mom thinks the world of Leon. And it's sad. It is sad. It is sad. You're talking about an individual who has no self-control. I've seen it my entire life. I experienced it. Why do I always have to go home with busted lips? Why do I always have to go home in pain? Because I'm being jerked around. Why is my mother not protecting me? Why is no one protecting me? Why is no one standing up for me? As long as it's not my child, I have nothing to do with it. But listen, everybody gonna run around. Everybody gonna speak in ungs. Everybody gonna you're gonna get them tithes. You're gonna be faithful. But no one has the wherewithal to say, wait a minute, this ain't right. Would I want my daughter to go through this? Would I want my son to go through this? But nobody, everybody just sleep. There is something absolutely wrong with this picture. There is something absolutely wrong with the church. There is something absolutely wrong with these preachers. There is something absolutely wrong with these men of God. To be told that you'll never be anything, to be treated as if you're nothing, to be embarrassed, to be talked about. Tell anybody who listens to be the laughing stock of the church on a regular basis. Put all the emphasis on that because I need you to understand that it was on a regular basis. Regular basis. There was no rest for Emma. There was no rest for her. There was no rest at Zion Apostolic Temple. There was no rest from being slapped. There was no rest from being talked about. There was no rest at all. None whatsoever. None. None. It's beyond me. It's beyond me. Not one time in my childhood and as I got older, teens, did anybody say, why are you doing this to her? What did she do? Why don't you like her? If you hit her one more time, I'm going to put my hands on you. If you slap her one more time, I'm going to slap you. You a grown man. Why are you doing this to her? Not one time. Not until I got older. And I remember I was, I don't know, like my late teens. I was coming home. And Leon was there. And he was barking. Somebody had told him Emma said something. And he came over there to put his hands on me. But my oldest brother said, and I'm just going to paraphrase because I don't want to misquote, but it was something to the effect of, you are always coming over here to whoop on this girl. Why are you always putting your hands on her? And it was so to the point to where my brother went off on him and he left. I didn't get slapped that day. That was the only time that I had ever experienced anybody stepping in and defending me. I know I'm not the only one who's dealt with abuse in the church. I know I won't be the last to deal with abuse in the church, because the church now is triple horrible. Triple horrible. I was his punching bag. And everybody was a part of it. Everybody was a willing participant simply because they did nothing. I will never, ever wish that on any child. But we got to talk about these things. I know people now that have been physically, sexually abused by pastors and ministers, but that's not my story to tell. I'm telling my story, and I'm going to keep telling my story until we get it right. We are caught up in something that don't even belong to us. We don't even know. We have no clue how asleep we are. These churches are not it. These pastors are not it. Not it. It's not it. And when I left, it was the best thing I could ever have done. It's the best thing I could have ever done. Talk about it. Get it off of your chest. Get it out of your mind. Cry. Spit it out. Pick yourself back up and talk about it again. Thank you for listening. Until then, shalom.